You guys know I'm a big fan of smartwatches. I was one of the naysayers at first. I didn't see the purpose until I got my own, and I realized that there's a lot to being able to read your notifications without needing to take your phone out of your pocket. I've been using this guy for a while. This is the Amazfit Base. I got this watch from the guys at GearBest. I reviewed it on my channel. I love it. This is my daily driver. And I've been curious about some other stuff that's in the market. And lucky for me, the good people over at Samsung sent me this, the Gear Sport. It's their most affordable smartwatch right now in the market. I think it goes for $300 US. So I guess most affordable when it comes to smartwatches doesn't mean a whole lot. But still, it's a pretty decent price for what it is. I did have a few problems with it. I still think it's a pretty decent gadget. Let's take a look. Alright, so this is the Samsung Gear Sport. As you can see, it looks pretty nice. It's very clearly a premium product. I mean, that's what you'd expect from a company like Samsung. Let's take a look at the hardware here first. So you got these rubber straps here. One thing I like about this, it has those little pins that allow you to replace the straps for something else. You want to spice it up, add your own little personal flavor to it. You can do that. You just have to buy regular 20mm bands. I like that a lot. So you got metal construction here. It feels very premium, very solid. It has a crown here that you use to scroll through options here. We're going to touch on that a little bit more later. And two buttons on the side. One button is back, and as you can see, and one button is the home button that drops you right at the screen where you can select apps and things like that. We're also going to touch on that a little bit more later. Watch faces here, you press and hold like most other watches, and you're going to have a selection here of pre-installed watch faces. Nothing too crazy, but you can download your own. Let's try this one here. Looks nice. I like these kinds of watch faces here. By the way, I do enjoy round faces. I mean, that's why I've been rocking my Amazfit Base with my awesome, let's see here, there you go, my awesome Mario watch face here. So I do prefer round smartwatches. I find them a little bit classier. So as for the screen, you're looking at a 360 by 360 pixel resolution. Sounds really low, right? But it is a watch, so they actually can do a lot with that. Like, I'm not sure if you can tell here, but the image is really crisp. The color reproduction is also really good. The viewing angles, I mean, it's a glossy watch, so as you can see, it reflects a lot of light, but it's still very, very visible. Let's talk about battery life for a second. This is very important for a lot of people. Some people dislike smartwatches because they don't like the idea of having to charge yet another thing at the end of their day. And the good thing about the Gear Sport is that the battery lasts for up to 4 days. For a smartwatch, that's pretty impressive. It uses Tizen OS, Samsung's proprietary wearable operating system, which means it's compatible with literally thousands of apps right now. Don't worry about that because you're not going to be using this thing to go on Facebook or Reddit or whatever. Smartwatch apps are like a little cool party trick you're not going to be using. This is going to be mostly for tracking your fitness progress, for tracking your runs and things like that, and for getting notifications on your wrist. And believe me, I was a naysayer. I didn't see the purpose of getting notifications on my wrist, on my watch. I do see it now. There's a lot to be said about not needing to pull out your phone to check like an email or a message or something like that. It's something that at first you think you don't need to do, but you get used to it quite fast. One thing I don't like about this watch, as you can see here on the screen, is that the screen will turn itself off, and then when it detects movement on the wrist, it comes back on. It's well and good, but I do enjoy watches that keep the screen always on like this. Now, obviously, this relies on some technological trickery. This is not a regular LCD display. It's something a little bit lower resolution. The colors are not quite as vivid. Let me wake this thing up here, and you can see, right? So it's a little bit more washed out. It's not quite as bright, but it's on all the time, and it gets great battery life. So this is the two options you have to look at when you're considering a smartwatch. If you have Samsung TVs, this is really interesting because this can pair to your TV and show your fitness progress and even fitness instructions, exercise instructions on your TV. So if you're working out in your living room or something like that, you can leverage your Samsung TV as some kind of digital personal trainer. It's kind of interesting. This thing is water resistant up to 50 meters, and it even can sustain exposure to salt water. A lot of devices that are water resistant will not survive a trip to the beach. I know this from personal experience, so this is pretty good. It has 4 gigs of internal storage, and if you have something like Spotify, you can actually download a local library to the watch and then pair this with a pair of Bluetooth headphones, so you can go for a run without needing to lug your cell phone with you. So that's pretty interesting. It has Samsung Pay, and I'm not sure how popular this is. I'm not a huge fan of these payment methods, so I don't use Apple Pay or anything like that. I'm not sure how important this is to you. This does not work with the magnetic transmission protocol. I think that's what it's called. It only works with NFC, so that means it's not going to work on every place that takes these kinds of electronic payments. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, the biggest thing about this watch, the reason I unfortunately will not keep this watch for my personal use, is that I could not get this thing to connect to my iPhone for the life of me. I tried several times following the tutorial to the letter, but it always failed at the last step. I was able to connect it just fine to my Android devices, but not to my iPhone, which is my daily driver at the moment. So I couldn't use this as much as I hoped I would. So I can't fully recommend this thing to an iPhone owner. I don't even know how it, I imagine it does pair with iPhones because the app is available on the App Store, but I have no idea why I was completely unable to connect this to my phone. And I have a lot of experience with smartwatches, so I don't think it was operator error. I think there's something kind of funky going on here. That being said, this watch is a beauty. It is really nice. It is a little bit thick, but that's kind of the deal with all smartwatches. I have a feeling that we're gonna go back to bigger watches, kind of like we had really tiny phones for a while, for the longest time in fact, and then smartphones made phones big again, and then we just kind of got used to now, well, phones are big now. So there's that. It's a really nice product. It feels very premium. You can tell where your money is going when you buy something like this. I do like it quite a bit. I like browsing through information on the screen using this thing here. It clicks. It's very satisfying the way it clicks into place. The screen is very, as you can see, very quick. There's no stutters, no nothing like that. Nice, a really nice watch, just not for iPhone users in my experience with it. But that is the Samsung Gear Sport. I want to thank the people over at Samsung for sending me this watch to review here on my channel, and I'm going to leave a link below where you can find this if you, you know where to buy this, or I can just go down to Best Buy. But anyway, I'll help you out. I'll put some links in the description, make your life a little bit easier. And that's everything for today. I'll see you guys next time.